You know, we all have roles we choose in life, right? Like being a good friend, or a partner, or a colleague. But what about the roles that we don't choose? The ones that kind of get assigned to us by family, by society. Roles that demand this incredible strength that almost nobody ever sees. Today, we're going to get into the hidden costs of being the strong one.
Wow. This quote from a research participant, it just cuts right to the heart of it, doesn't it? That's the voice of someone who feels like they're holding everything together, someone who believes that showing any vulnerability just isn't an option. It's the reality for so many people who are trapped in a role they never even auditioned for.
And that really brings us to the big question here. We talk about strength and resilience like they're the ultimate virtues. But when does that expectation stop being a good thing and start feeling more like a cage? What's the real price tag on always having to be strong?
To really understand this, we're going to break down two specific, deeply researched archetypes that people find themselves forced into: the strong one and the parent.
Okay, so first up is what researchers call the strong black woman image. And this is so much more than just being resilient. It's a very specific cultural ideal, and it has these really deep, painful roots in history. See, the logic of slavery needed to portray black women as almost superhuman, like they were immune to pain, to justify their horrific mistreatment. And that created this lasting social script, one that pressures black women to be endlessly self-reliant, often at a huge personal cost.
And then there's this phenomenon called parentification. This is a really intense role reversal where a child basically has to become the adult in the room. They end up being a caregiver for their own parents or their siblings. And the key part of this whole dynamic is that the child learns to push down their own needs, the need to play, to be comforted, to just be a kid, all to keep the family stable.
And when you put these two roles side by side, it's pretty wild how similar they are. I mean, look at this. Both have this sense of duty to others. Both involve the action of suppressing yourself, your emotions or your needs. And both have a goal that serves the group, not the individual. Whether it's for the community or for the family, the underlying message is exactly the same. Your needs have to come last. So what happens when you have to live inside one of these roles for years, or maybe your whole life? Well, that's when that so-called strength starts to crack, and it becomes this incredibly heavy liability. For those embodying the strong black woman image, the research shows a really clear and painful toll. That constant pressure to keep your emotions bottled up, it's directly linked to things like increased depressive symptoms, emotional eating, and just this profound psychological distress. And here's the heartbreaking paradox. The very image of strength is what stops someone from getting help, because they're terrified of being seen as weak.
And the toll of parentification is just as severe, and it lasts for a long time. Adults who were parentified when they were kids show higher rates of depression and anxiety, and they often battle this deep, nagging, low self-esteem. You know that feeling of being an imposter? Or that you're just not good enough? So often, that can be traced right back to a childhood where your needs were basically ignored.
This quote from one of the studies just makes it so tangible. Just think about that for a second. Can you imagine being a kid and feeling like you are responsible for the emotional state of your entire family? That is an absolutely impossible and incredibly lonely burden to carry.
And here, you can see exactly how that role echoes into adulthood. This is a trainee therapist looking back on her work, and she has this light bulb moment, realizing that what she thought was just her being compassionate was actually this pattern she learned as a kid, an inability to set boundaries because her job was always to take care of everyone else's needs first. These roles we play as kids can become our default settings as adults.
Okay, so if these roles are so deeply baked into who we are, is there a way out? Well, the research says yes, absolutely. But it's not some quick fix. It's a journey. It's a path away from just playing a part and toward finding out who you really are.
So, that path forward? It really starts with awareness. It's about finally connecting the dots between the role you were forced to play back then and the struggles you're having today. The next big step is finding support, often through therapy, where you can finally get the kind of nurturing care you missed out on. And then, finally, it's about integration, learning to be a whole person, where your own needs aren't just an afterthought. They're actually valued.
And the outcome of all this hard work is truly transformative. People in these studies talked about learning how to set boundaries, how to cope with stress in healthy ways, and, in their own words, how to become healthier versions of themselves. It's really a process of reclaiming the part of you that had to be suppressed for so long.
So as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Beyond your job title or what you call yourself in your family,
What are the unspoken roles that you're expected to play? Are you the strong one, the peacemaker, the planner? Just recognizing these hidden burdens, well, that's the very first step toward deciding which roles you actually want to own.